course, I can list maybe two reasons that came about of this polarization. First, I think about disappointment or frustration. We can see in the aftermath of the pandemic, for example, it dragged the country to the problem of xenophobia. We have, these anti-migrants, anti-refugees. Certain people in our society were influenced by certain quarters to see the pandemic through this polarization lens. But fortunately, of course, ABIM and our multiracial or interface NGO and others, they are groups believe or see the pandemic from the positive perspective, where COVID-19, for example, taught us about the spirit of unity, helping each other, because at the end of the day, we as a human beings, everyone of us feels the pinch and everyone needs help. And secondly, reaction. When one party reacts towards another, for example, this polarization happen when both parties react each other. Both extreme, the extreme line, A hardcore, B, they react each other, so it causes this polarization. So that's why we need to always be in the middle ground, be moderate, or in Islam we have this kind of word wasatiyah, just balance, without putting ourselves in either extreme far or left. So this is very important, and of course it is a long journey, especially to educate the public, not to mention about the social media issue as well, because for example, if I may share as well, like TikTok, this 1 minute video, it can change everything, because and of course it is different with our traditional way of having info. For example, before this we have this kind of interface dialogue, we have any kind of engagements, civic engagement and so on. So for example, when we have problems, ABIM and Friendship Group of Intelligence Services, FGIS, for example, when we have this Islamophobia issues, when we have anti-other religion issue, for example, what we did, we call for a meeting with all these interreligious group to share talks and insights before making any statement. So this is very important, the way, even though it is a traditional way, but it is very important to cool down the country. But as I said, having social media, for example, like 1 minute TikTok, it is not about dialogue, it is not about conversation, it is a conclusion of the dialogue. So we need to do something, at least to encourage more open dialogue with all stakeholders, with all races and religions in Malaysia.
Absolutely. I want to get your thoughts. You mentioned the word moderate a couple of times throughout this conversation. What does moderate mean to you? And with that in mind, what is your ideal Malaysia? What does an ideal Malaysia look like to you?
Okay, moderate meaning it is a balance, just balance. You should not put yourself in extreme ends, either A or B, because at the end of the day, in order to be a solution provider for any issues, for any problems in Malaysia, you need to gain trust from all stakeholders. So in order to gain trust from all stakeholders, you need to be moderate. You need to be just moderate, not only compromise, but you need to be in principle just. You need to stand along with your principle. At the end of the day, you want to have a solution, so you need to be just. You need to listen to both sides of group of people, for example, and you need to provide a solution based on this just balance principles. And of course, I have also my dream for Malaysia, and I've been through decades, even in our annual general assembly. In many seminars we conducted, for example, seminars or program on Bangsa Malaysia, the identity of Bangsa Malaysia. the dream of ABIM. I mean, what we want to see Malaysia forward. So when we talk about Bangsa Malaysia, sometimes people can use this as a tool to critique or to confront with us. Because if you look Bangsa Malaysia, for example, from a political lens, of course, it is. I mean, it opens to criticism. Yeah, for example, when we talk about Bangsa Malaysia as a tool of races, for example, so-called like can weaken the identity of the race. Of course, it opens to criticism. But I have to clarify this. When ABIM, when we talk about Bangsa Malaysia, we need to use the correct lens, not political lens. So we need to lead the people to be an inclusive and unit, and Bangsa Malaysia is an identity that can be a unifying factor. So we unite all Malaysians through the shared values. What kind of values? Yeah, the easy values or the explicit values is helping each other. So this kind of values of Malaysia that we want to bring forward. When we talk when we talk about Malaysian people, yes, we have this kind of similar values, helping each other. So this is the value of Bangsa Malaysia. The value, the identity of Bangsa Malaysia, we share the common values. And when we talk about this identity, it is not just about, as I said, to compromise the identity of races. You are Chinese or Indian or Malay. It is not just that, but it is about, as I said, how to unite all Malaysians through this kind of values. So this is important as an alternative to uh, race identity, so that people can see more. Because at the end of the day, we should bear in mind we have many identity.
Right.
Even I must have, even we can just look at our WhatsApp group. We have maybe hundreds of WhatsApp group. So it resembles the identity of our life.
Yeah.
Maybe bicycle, loving coffee identity, teachers, professionals. So there are a lot of identities
Right.
in our life. So Bangsa Malaysia is one of the competing identities that can be alternative, so that people will not look just through the lens of race and religion per se, but as a Malaysian, what we can do to move forward to unite each other.
Absolutely. All right. As we slowly wind down this conversation, Faisal, is there how can people listening support ABIM, and is there any upcoming projects or initiatives that y'all are working on that you'd like to plug?